Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I'm back with another emergency card kit. If you knew where to look, this kit actually came out last week, but now I'm sharing it with you here on my channel. This is the Holiday Light Up Panels kit and it creates really quick and easy light up cards. If you aren't into light up cards, no worries. I have lots of techniques to share with you on ways to step up your printed panels. So these are the light up holiday panels and they print at 6x6. And I just love the colors in the background of this one. You could light up the stars in the sky. There's little windows that you could light up in the tree like it's a home. So many great ways to use this, and we'll use that one today. This one's a little more traditional. You can light up the top of the tree, the lights on the tree, the lights in the houses, the moon, the stars in the sky. And then, of course, I have a panel inspired by one of our favorite holiday movies. This printable is completely free for everyone, so you'll find a link over to my website in the description box below. I hope this kit inspires you to make something really fun this holiday season. So I am trying to figure out exactly how I want to cut this down, and I took some rectangle frames and I cut the largest at A2, 4¼ by 5½, and then the next smallest, and I cut out a panel of matte silver cardstock. And I'm just going to move this around until I figure out which portion of that printable I want to keep, and then I trimmed that down. I will say I wish I had trimmed this a little lower so the star was closer to the top of the card, but by the time I figured that out, I was halfway through. So here we are. I just have some printer paper I tore apart to cover up the tree and the landscape. And then I am spraying this shimmer mist on it. It's a clear shimmer mist. It's really, really subtle. And I'm going to do my best to capture it on camera. If you look at the dark blues of the sky, you'll catch it. I love that it's not in your face, but it's just one more layer of something special. To be clear, you can just use the panel as is. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a light up card. It's very special. But I like to show you lots of ways to step that up and make it feel like yours. So one of the ways I'm doing that is with this frame. I also love that it adds a different kind of shine than that shimmer spray that's in the background. I just added a little bead of glue all the way around the outside edge. The next way I'm going to step this up is with my sentiment. So I chose to die cut a sentiment. There's this die set that I'll link below that has Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas. And quite frankly, the size was right. Any bigger and it wouldn't have fit. It would have been quicker and easier to heat emboss a sentiment into that dark blue area. And I thought about that, but honestly, I don't have a lot of stamps. I do a lot of die cut sentiments or printed sentiments. And so I thought I would do something really special here. I grabbed a navy blue and then sort of a purpley pinky color to mimic the colors in the background. And we're going to layer this up. I am creating just the hint of a drop shadow down and to the right. And I'm going to do that with all my pieces. I love that these dies largely are in single pieces with like 1 extra or 2 extra pieces to layer together. I like to add glue onto the piece that's going to get laid down on top. So if I'm putting the purple on the blue, the purple gets the glue. I tap off any excess and then I use my tweezers to try to get everything lined up. My top layer is a white glitter cardstock. And again, it's just another layer of added shine, of added texture. The raised die cuts are going to give me texture as well. This is a chunky monkey card, right? When you put a light into a card, you're using about 3mm thick foam to make sure that it fits well. You can try 2, but sometimes I feel like I get a lump in my card at 2mm. But when I'm making a light up card, I just know this is something that's going to get hand delivered or it's something that's going to go in a box with a gift. And so I'm really not worried about adding extra height with my die cuts here. I'm tapping off any excess again, just on a bit of scratch paper on the side. Normally I use the back of my hand, but I had already done that a lot. So I thought for the sake of my skin, this might be the best way to go. And then I sort of auditioned these pieces to figure out where are they going to fit. When I was cutting out my panel, I was trying to give myself as much room as possible to the left of the tree because I knew this sentiment was sort of pushing the size of how big I could fit. But certainly a stamped image would be smaller here. The tittle for the eye is really small, and I knew there was no way I was going to create a drop shadow with that. So instead, I'm going to use one of these small sticky backed gems instead. And it has about the same height as my 3 layers of cardstock stacked up. And so that evens it out nicely. And we have another layer of sparkle. Let me know, is there such a thing as too much sparkle on a holiday card? Because I'm not sure that there is. Another way I'm going to step this up is by making textured snow. So I have this product from Stampin' Up! That came out years ago. I don't think they carry it anymore, but that product exists in other places. So I'm going to link below to something similar, probably the Marvy Snow Pen Snow Marker. And it's just a liquid that I am putting over top of my snow. Then I have some glitter from Lawn Fawn that I'm going to sprinkle over the top of it while it's wet. And by the time I dry this and set it, it's going to grab onto that glitter and it's not going to come off very well at all, right? Which is exactly what we want. So I'm doing my best to sort of stay in the snow. It didn't go perfectly. That's okay. I used my thumb to move some of it a little bit, and you really can't tell that I got it in the wrong spot at all. And when I go to heat set this, I'm going to use my heat tool. Again, you're not really going to be able to notice that I had it in the wrong spot. For my sprinkle of glitter, I am just taking the tiniest little bit and rubbing it between my fingers so I have this very light dusting. And then when I heat it up, the liquid in there, as it's evaporating, sort of puffs up and creates a skin out of this liquid. And so you get this textured snow. I will warn you, do not overheat it. If you overheat it, it can burn, it will deflate, it will get really hard and crusty, things that are not super great. But if you heat it just until it puffs up and then you move on, it is so wonderful. It's this magical, wonderful texture on there, and I just love that. So I have now sprayed this with glitter spray and put that sort of snow texture on there, a lot of liquid, and it's actually a 65-pound cardstock. So I have a piece of acetate that I'm going to put behind it. I use Grafix shrink film because it's really, really sturdy, and I have a bunch of double-sided adhesive tape that I'll use to adhere the two. Then it's a lot thicker and it minimizes the warping that happened when I was using other products. So here's our one light. It is so simple. I put the battery in and I push the button and that's it. I want my light directly behind the center of my star. So I'm using a pencil to kind of find that on my card base. And I'm going to use some mint tape, like a Post-it tape, to hold that in place and then double check it. And it's hard to see on camera because it's so bright, but I can tell exactly where that light is when I push the button. So I'm going to wiggle it within the tape until it's where I want it, and then I will trace around the outside edge of the light so that when I adhere it, I am putting it right back down exactly where I had it before. I'm also being careful to take note of where the button is. I want the button to be somewhere on like the blue of the sky and not the frame. It's hard to mark, hey, push on the frame to light this up. Then I'm going to bring this into my scoreboard and I'm just going to find a groove that's to the inside of the card from the light. And I want it to go above and below the light, just barely. And then I'll use my scissors to create a little flap. If I had planned maybe ahead a little differently, I could have used my trimmer to make those cuts to make sure that they were perfect and super tidy, but I'm not that worried about it. If I gave someone a light up card and they're complaining about how I cut the flap, we got problems. So I have my 3mm foam here that I'm going to use to make sure I've got enough lift. You can sometimes get away with 2mm foam. If you have the world's best foam tape, that's your best choice because it's repositionable and it takes all the stress out of this. But I wanted a little more like ambient light. I wanted it to shine out beyond just the star itself. And so when you create a little more distance between your panel and the light, you get sort of broader spread of the light, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off all that backing paper from my foam tape. I have it in the corner of my scoreboard to try to get everything lined up just perfectly. And then I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue on top. I know that this is going to grab on really quickly if I just have the foam tape, so that wet glue lets it hydroplane for a second, like it'll slip and slide around on there so I can make sure the corners are lined up correctly. And I'm not going to have to try to trim something off of this very thick panel. I'll be honest, I use this trick a lot. And about 25% of the time, I still don't get it on there correctly. So I'm very dainty as I begin to press down the first time. And it's not until I sort of pick up the card and make sure that I'm willing to press any harder. To make sure my recipient knows what to do, I'm going to stamp the word push from the Pear Blossom Press Stamp and Die bundle. It has a die in there that will cut like a trap door for your battery if you need it. And then it has a few other stamps in there too, but I like that this one is scripty, so it goes well with the feel of this card. I stamped it onto just a piece of scrap acetate first to make sure that it was straight and it was in the right position. And then I removed that acetate and stamped it directly onto my card. It felt really brave because it's pretty much all put together and done at this point. But it worked beautifully. I think a pigment ink makes that a little bit easier. Then I'm going to come in with two more sort of final accents, ways to step it up. I have this red glitter brush pen from scrapbook.com, and I'm just going over the red ornaments on here. And then I have a similar one that's just clear that I will use to go over the star. I used an inkjet printer, so I am being careful not to add too much liquid on there or it can make my ink run. But this worked out really nicely. On the inside, I'm going to use some mint tape to hold that door closed. Normally I use removable adhesive, but I'm out. You could also use washi tape. But here is our finished card. It has great sparkle and shine. We've got that texture from the snow and the top of the tree lights up beautifully. My friends, I hope that you'll give this a try. If you have some lights in your stash and you've been afraid to use them, now is the time. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.